for them, and we're asking their interest in terms of providing this service. The concept would be is that we would move the money and all the bureaucratic issues between us and them. We would have a contract directly with them. They would have an MOU with your individual neighborhood councils. So if Boyle Heights, and I'm just going to use that as an example, linked with Catholic Archdiocese, they would have an MOU between them. They will set up a process of how the checks and the payments will be made. You would still have all the control within your neighborhood councils in terms of approving the budgets. You'll have complete control of the discretion of what you spend your money in the framework of what's allowable and what's not allowable. And you would deal specifically with that nonprofit to actually get the checks paid, to get your fiscal issues addressed. We would take care of and work with the nonprofit, in this case, let's say Catholic Archdiocese, that they would do the billing with us. They would deal with the bureaucracy in terms of the city. They would actually be the ones that we would audit and hold liable for the expenditures. It's a system that we've worked for many, many of our services. It does work currently in different contexts. Adding it to a neighborhood council concept is new. But in terms of services, it has worked for years and over time. And I'm not saying this is the perfect way. I'm not saying this is the only way. I am saying that this is a way that we could actually hopefully meet the needs of you all as neighborhood councils in terms of being able to move money and to make it easy. Hopefully it meets the needs of the city bureaucracy. And when we talk about city bureaucracy, it's not just CED or done as an individual department. It is the city attorney's office. It is the mayor's office. It's the CLA's office. It is the controller's office. It is the Department of Finance. I mean, we deal with a whole slew of other entities that actually touch this process. But we should be dealing with that. You pay us very well to do that. That's our job to do that. You all should have to deal with multiple bureaucracies to get a check to do your community service. You should be able to do that. And then hopefully, in time, we could actually evaluate to see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then we have to go back and try something new. If it does work and we can improve on the process, then we'll continue to improve on the process. But that's simply the idea of how we would move this forward. One way, again, there's only one way that we know that it could make it work in terms of ease of the funding program. So with that, turn it over to Larry.
Thank you. Now I'm going to ask Larry if you would take what's been said and give us a little bit of an overview of what the mayor's office may be thinking about now, because I'm sure there's some thought that went into the request for a negative motion and such as that, some thoughts you have going forward, and you might mention what thoughts have been put forward for July 1, because there was nothing in the budget for it done as of July 1, and then we'll open it up.
Very good. So let's just talk first interim, because there are some challenges, based on the budget, because the budget does not include a funding for a general manager. It does not include, it's an adopted budget now. It doesn't include funding for assistant general manager. It doesn't include funding for a number of important functions. But actually, it does fortunately include funding for GSD to have a location. They actually had looked at terminating the lease on 2nd Street, but that lease will go month to month. GSD does have the funding for the existence of Dunn to keep its location over on 2nd Street, and so that'll be a month-to-month lease. Excuse me?
Where street goes? Well, there's two locations.
That's a city location, so that's still there. Yeah. In looking at how we fund the kind of management of the structure, we had a really difficult conversation with the two assistant general manager and general manager, and it was Bong Wong Kim who said if it was between myself and Claudia in this environment, quite honestly, I believe that Claudia has more of the nuts and bolts qualities that are necessary in this period. So BH is stepping down as of June the 30th. And Claudia and all parties, and will work closely with Paul Krikorian's office because it has to go through a managed hiring process to do a 60 or 90-day contract to keep Claudia on. If we have to extend that, we will fight to do that as well. There's no funding for that, but we will find it somewhere. So Claudia will be sort of managing the Department of Neighbor Empowerment, but she's on contract, so she's not allowed to be the general manager or the assistant general manager. She's a consultant, right? But so somebody at Dunn will be become the interim general manager, or actually not interim, what's the acting general manager during this period. Claudia will be there to kind of help manage the process moving forward. But
Will there be public input on this selection?
Why don't we,
yeah, so let me get to that
Don't
question
interrupt
real
me,
quick.
interrupt me.
So one of the things, so there were three, did the other two things happen at E&N yesterday?
Well, we talked about them, there weren't specific recommendations. So in addition to asking the committee to put forward a negative recommendation on the mayor's proposal, I also discussed with the committee putting out some level of support of putting out an RFP to get some feedback on nonprofits and what they might be able to provide to neighborhood empowerment in the city. But also some level of support for putting out a job announcement for future leadership of neighborhood empowerment in the city. Whether that's a general manager and executive director obviously remains to be seen. But the committee was a little bit split. Councilman Krikorian spoke about understanding the need to be able to move forward regardless of what this looks like. So he was supportive of moving forward to look for leadership as we're going forward when we get to the point where we know what we're looking at. Councilwoman Hahn was a little more skeptical. She just wants to make sure that we're not making decisions prematurely. So she has a fair level of concern, a fair level of skepticism, but there were no official recommendations as far as moving forward. I mentioned that that's likely what we're going to do, mostly for information gathering, so we can move forward when appropriate.
So to answer your question, Bob, there will be some kind of posting of a general manager / executive director. There's probably a difference of $20,000 in terms of the actual salary versus the general manager versus the executive director. But I think we're willing to sort of, pursue, a posting that would at least give us an idea of who's out there interested. And if we have some folks that I think are qualified, ready to step up. And in terms of the selection process, we will have a fully inclusive selection process with representation, from neighborhood councils, from BONC, to be able to move forward. And I think it'll be the most inclusive that we've ever done. We've always had past, in fact, I think people in this room have been in an audit selection process when we did the Carol Baker Farms selection process, which was the big one. So those are sort of the interim questions. So let me kind of step back a little bit. There's three huge questions. So I myself have a long history of being a community organizer. I've built for